Hello everybody, my name is Catherine Kinney, and today we're going to talk about the Cherokee culture. We're going to talk about who the Cherokee are and their history so we can further understand elements of their culture, such as their core values, language, dress, tattoos and jewelry, and their ceremonies. Then we will finish by talking about the Cherokee's different flags and their identity. The Cherokee are a Native American tribe who are also known as the Cave People, Original People, and the Real People. In 1650, there were approximately 22,500 Cherokee Indians. They are spread out in 200 different towns in present-day Alabama, Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, North and South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. There are 7 different clans of Cherokee, and rules between the clans is that no one can marry into the same clan, as people of the same clan were often referred to as brothers and sisters. The 7 Cherokee clans are the Deer, Wolf, Eagle, Blue Holly, Tobacco, Twister, and Red Paint. The Deer clan were fast runners and therefore the short-term messengers. They taught relaxation and love, were hunters and keepers of sports. The Wolf clan was the largest Cherokee clan. It was the home to most of the war chiefs who taught loyalty, protection, and security. The Eagle clan were skilled in bird hunting and using blowguns and snares. And they were the official messengers of the nation, and they taught the importance of giving. The Blue Holly clan were responsible for the creation of medicine, and they taught power, physical strength, and intention. The Tobacco clan were the farmers and gatherers, and they taught everything about farming and creating shelter. The Twister clan taught tradition, spirituality, and intuition. The final clan, the Red Paint clan, were the smallest clan and the most secretive. They taught knowledge of birth, life, death, and regeneration. Their responsibility was to craft red paint, which was used in large amounts during ceremonies and rituals. The first Cherokee's major event in their history was their participation in the French and Indian War. The French and Indian War took place from 1754 until 1763. The Cherokee Nation allied with the British and their towns were severely destroyed. This left the nation in massive amounts of debt. The Treaty of Augusta, signed in 1773, would relieve that debt, but only after they approximately traded 2 million acres of land. From there, the treaties only continued. In 1775, the Treaty of Sycamore was signed, and the Cherokee Nation unwillingly traded massive amounts of land in the present-day Kentucky. 2 years later, in 1777, the nation again allied with the British during the American Revolution. Again, this led to massive amounts of destruction, and they had to surrender their land in the Carolinas after the colonists defeated the British. In 1800, peace had settled in, and the Cherokee started to assimilate with the colonists. The Cherokee adopted a government similar to the new U.S. government, and they took up colonial methods of farming, building, crafting, and they created their own written language, which we will talk about more in just a minute. However, in 1831, there was no more peace. The Indian Removal Act was established after gold had been discovered in Georgia. A small minority group of Cherokee ceded all of the Cherokee land east of the Mississippi without the rest of the nation's approval. This issue was taken to the Supreme Court, who ruled that Georgia had no jurisdiction to make the Cherokee leave their land. However, the newly elected president, Andrew Jackson, simply did not care, and he passed the Indian Removal Act, which led to the eviction of 16,000 Cherokee, and it became known as the Trail of Tears. The Trail of Tears lasted 116 days during 1838 and 1839. Inadequate amounts of food, supplies, shelter, and the winter weather led to extreme suffering and the death of 1/4 of the entire tribe. This journey cost the Cherokee everything, as they had to pay their farmers when passing through the land and through their rivers, and for approval for burying their own dead. The trail ended in Oklahoma, where the remaining Cherokee Indians joined the other tribes, including the Creek, Seminole, Chickasaw, and the Choctaw. After learning a brief amount about the Cherokee history, we can now focus more on their culture. The Cherokee had 6 main core values. Spirituality created a bond in the community and gave the nation a source of hope. They had a great importance on group harmony and giving time, possessions, and skills to others. The Cherokee valued their past, their ancestors, and worked non-stop on preserving their culture. Along with other Native American tribes, the Cherokee knew the value and importance of the land, and they lived their lives thankfully and respectfully to the land. It was important to the nation to be a person of good character by having integrity, courage, honor, and respect. Finally, the Cherokee valued the education of their children. They knew that their children were the future of the tribe and focused heavily on their education to preserve the tribe. The Cherokee language has been considered a Class 4 on the scale of difficulty. As of today, there are only 2,000 fluent speakers of the Cherokee language, and only a few thousand more beginners of the language. In 1821, the Cherokee written language was created and is known as the Cherokee syllabary. It is comprised with 85 distinct characters that each represent a different syllable. The combination of these characters resulted in words and sentences, and this took off super quickly, and it led to about 90% of the entire nation to be literate in the first several years of its creation. The traditional Cherokee dress was well known for its colors and feathers. Each color, however, had a different meaning behind it. Red stood for power and victory, white was peace and harmony, black represented death, and blue was sadness and defeat. More traditional elements of the dress were fringe, headpieces, and beaded designs. Most of the clothing was made of animal hides, and more specifically deerskin and woven mulberry bark. Tattoos and accessories were important elements of the Cherokee. Tattoos represented achievements of the young warriors. After an achievement, ceremonies would be held where the warrior would receive a tattoo and add to his goal board of achievements, which were displayed on the body. These tattoos were created using sharp animal bones, coal, and orca. Some common accessories of both the male and female Cherokee Indians were the traditional headdresses, jewelry made from nuts, beads, and shells, and sassage or satchels made to carry ammunition. There are 6 traditional ceremonies that the Cherokee celebrated throughout the year. The first is the new moon of spring, which lasts 7 days of dancing and the lighting of the sacred fire. In August, the green corn ceremony involves 7 chiefs fasting for 6 days, followed by a large feast and the celebration on the 7th day. In late September, the ripe corn ceremony honored mature corn and involved a 4-day feast. In October, the Great New Moon ceremony celebrated the new year, as that's when the Cherokees believed the world was created. In the winter, the Bounding Bush ceremony included 3 days of dances, feasts, and the creation of the sacred fire, which is made mostly out of pine needles. Finally, the UQ ceremony replaces the New Moon of Spring ceremony every 7th year. The chief of the nation leads the Cherokees in a ceremony of thanks. Now we move on to flags and identity. As the Cherokee history progressed, they took up 3 different national flags. The top flag is the Cherokee Nation flag. The 7 stars represent the 7 clans, and the black star in the top right honors the lives lost in the Trail of Tears. The middle flag is the Eastern Band of Cherokee flag. During the Trail of Tears, about 1,000 Cherokee Indians fled and settled in North Carolina and established this Eastern Band. The bottom flag is the United Band of Cherokee flag, who reside in Arkansas and Oklahoma. 2 additional flags were commonly displayed by the Cherokee. The peace flag represented peace and happiness. The 7 red stars represented victory of the 7 clans. The war flag, on the other hand, represented distress and surrender and was carried mainly during the Trail of Tears. Now for the connection with identity. As the Cherokees experienced their hardships during their history, they had to adjust and adapt their culture to try and keep a sense of identity through those hardships. Finally, where are the Cherokee today? As previously mentioned, most still reside in Oklahoma, and there are only 2,000 native speakers of the syllabary, with a majority over 50 years old, and the youngest being 35. However, in hopes to preserve the Cherokee culture, in 1991, the Cherokee Nation Language and Cultural Preservation Act was passed. Since then, an immersion school was established in 2001 in Oklahoma and started with 100 students. They focused on teaching the syllabary and maintaining the Cherokee identity. Since then, the school has continued to see progress in growing enrollment. The Cherokee have been able to pick themselves up from nothing after the Trail of Tears, and in 2018, the Cherokee Nation was one of the top economic contributors for Oklahoma. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching and sticking around to learn a little bit about Cherokee culture. Have a great day.